Smoking. Been doing it since I was 11. I've been trying, but there seems to be some kind of block.
Often when someone presents us with 1 or 2 or 3 questions, it's the same question all 3 times. So the answer is the same all 3 times. You can't quit something that you're trying to quit. You have to replace it with something else. You can't quit the darkness. You got to put in the light. You can't quit the smoking. So what you have to do is feel what's on the other end of the stick. Feel. And it's easier for you on the subjects that feel more removed from you or more general than it is the specific ones, but it's all the same thing. So what is it about smoking that is so delicious?
Nothing. It is pure habit, a pure addiction. I think it served a purpose to stuff the negative emotions, to stuff the anger.
We love you so much, but blah, 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 blah. This is what we were talking about earlier, about too many words that just complicate. So let's talk about something that you would call an addiction. So first, let us just say, we're going to be really brief on this because you've heard it from us before. Everybody sort of knows this, and we're going to a whole new place because you're asking for something whole and new. And we agree with almost everything that you've said, but there are a few things that we want to help you to smooth out just a little bit. You have trillions of cells that are all vibrational beings that are vibrating and asking. And they communicate with each other, and they communicate with your inner being, and they really know what they're doing. The human apparatus is a spectacular communicative device, not only within its own community called your body, but with the source energy that is the fuel of it, the life of it. So it's communication beyond humans' ways to define it. You feel it through emotions, but a rare person identifies those feelings and turns it into a vocabulary. So the cells of your body are receiving that information from Source, who adores you. And what they're doing is just helping you be steady no matter what, or as steady as you can be given whatever resistance that you hold. So when you introduce something to your body, like a chemical in a food that your body wasn't used to, or something like the drugs or the nicotine, there are endless substances. When you introduce something to your body that it already doesn't have practiced momentum of benefiting from, your body goes into a mode that we would call adaptation. That's the best description of it, where your body just compensates for it. So you introduce something, and rather than you just keeling over with overwhelmment, the cells of your body all communicate with each other and go into whatever mode that they need to go to compensate for what you have given to it. Now, you didn't give that to your body because you are this keen, wise human who is receiving communication from their cells of your body. In other words, there was an emotional reason or a peer group reason or some other human reason that you introduced this to your body. But the cells of your body adapt just the same in order to keep you steady anyway. This is that path of least resistance that we talk about all the time. And so that translates to you, the thinking being, as a craving, because it's momentum. You already introduced it. Everybody got to work. What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? We'll do this. We'll do this. We'll do this. We're making that stuff up. Your cells aren't speaking words to each other, but there is this adjustment thing that is happening in order to maintain status quo of the intentionality that is being addressed from non-physical. Cells are asking, Source is answering. No disruption in that whatsoever. So what that means is if you went for 3 days without more ingestation, without eating it, smoking it, drinking it, shooting it, whatever it is, that part of the equation would subside. The cellular addiction, it's not an addiction, the cellular adaptation would cease, and so would your craving. But the craving was not a cellular vibrational craving, it was an emotional craving. And you didn't fix that just by stopping the actual manifestation. So when you take your first drug or your first puff of whatever it is, that was manifestation of the momentum that you already had going. So you can stop the manifestation, but have you done it? We've not said this clearly before. Have you stopped the reason that the momentum got so strong that it turned into a manifestation? Is this making sense to you?
It would help if I knew the reason. I was 11.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know what the reason is.
It doesn't matter, because every day is a new day, and every day you get to decide where you are and what you now want. You can't get it wrong, and you never get it done, and the reason you can't get it wrong is because it's never done. But what we're getting at here is that there's a momentum in all things. And when a momentum starts from the unwanted end of the stick, it attracts like when it starts from the wanted end of the stick. But here's the thing that we really want to clarify. When momentum starts from the wanted end of the stick, your inner being is involved, and the momentum is greater, and much more wonderful stuff comes from it. That's why light is so different than the absence of it. So we're talking about two things. You can stop the manifestation of things. Like you say, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Esther, on her closing loops game that she plays, she's playing a game every day. Loops she's closing and loops she's opening. She said, I've closed the loop on TV news. Close the loop on it. Well, she hasn't really. And if the subject were smoking, she'd be smoking right now. Or she'll close the loop on Diet Pepsi. I'm going to close the loop on Diet Pepsi because I believe that it is poison and delicious. Now, you can stop doing something. What we're getting at, you're really going to like this. You've got to get some momentum going about what you're going to do so that the momentum causes the behavior shift, not try to do the behavior shift from the negative end of the stick. Does that make sense to you? You want to get your inner being in on helping you do what you want to do. Now, we know for sure that you are a receiver. You get your inner being in on all of that. You just haven't used the same application of getting your inner being involved on this other thing that you're saying that you're having a hard time letting go of. So that's why we're asking you.
I'm doing the meditation. I'm getting out in nature. I'm doing the music.
We get that, and that's why you're happy most of the time. But on this subject,
I got off TV.
On this subject of wanting to release smoking, can you remember, or can you tell us what about it is good feeling?
Comfort. Calming. Comfort.
Now there, a little bit ago you said there's nothing about it, but there is.
No, it has always been my comfort, my buddy.
So go with that. Go with that comfort, even while you're smoking. Acknowledge that the reason for this is because, in other words, when you say I'm going to stop this terrible thing, you're not. You're just encouraging more of it. We were talking to our friend earlier, when you look for the easy existing matches, every particle of the universe has wanted and unwanted in it. Even the smoking that you've decided you don't want to do has wanted and unwanted in it. So identify what the wanted is, activate the wanted so powerfully within you, and the universe, your inner being, the law of attraction, will show you how to get that wanting. You can get from a person only what you want and not some of the other, unless you're pushing hard against the other. When you say no to any part of anything, you introduce it into your point of attraction, so you get it all. So you get some comfort and you get some guilt, you get some comfort and you get some uneasiness, and on and on and on it goes. Well, you can clarify that. You can clarify that. And your inner being will help you clarify that. There are people who actually breathe more deeply because they smoke.
That's what I did as a child.
Than the people who don't smoke breathe. Because they're looking for something in it and expecting to get it. And is that bad? Now, you know what's happening here? Because nearly to a person, you have an opinion about this subject. But we're asking you to set that opinion aside, not because it's wrong or right, but to just ask yourself, do I have an intention? Rather than beating up on yourself with your opinion, you spewed plenty of those opinions to us about this dastardly deed. this filthy, despicable, disgusting.
Self-judgment.
And then, rather than that, what's your intention? So, is your intention to give up comfort?
No.
Is
To raise my vibration and feel joy and bliss.
The only thing that lowers your vibration or doesn't allow your vibration to rise is holding a frequency that your inner being doesn't agree with. That's why when you meditate, you quiet your mind. When you quiet your mind, you stop resistance. When you stop resistance, your vibration rises. When your vibration rises, you calibrate to your inner being. And so what that means is your inner being is not in judgment about your smoking.
Okay, so I got to download.
Stay with us for a minute. Your inner being is not in judgment about your smoking.
So that means I could just continue to smoke?
It means that through the experience of knowing what you don't want, what is it you don't want about smoking?
The health problems, the vasoconstriction, the lowering of vibration, 2 heart attacks.
So do you think your inner being wants that for you?
No.
Of course not. And you don't want it for you, so you know what you don't want. What is it that you do want?
To not be a slave to it anymore.
What's the opposite of enslavement?
Being free.
Free and comfort. Free and comfort and feeling good in my body. Free to choose. Comfort and ease and feeling good in my body. Now your inner being is rooting for all of those things. But this is the thing that we really want you to hear. Your inner being is not condemning you for a behavior, because this is the biggest and most important opportunity for a drum roll ever. This is the reason that your inner being is not condemning that, because contrast is necessary to your deciding, and contrast is necessary for your expansion, and that's why you came. We want to convince you that there are 2 ends to the stick every single time, and you cannot know the wanted end without the unwanted end. It's the simplest thing in the world, just to root for what's wanted and stop condemning what's not wanted.
So my ego is condemning
You
what's
want
not
to be
wanted.
an advocate, not a protester. You want to be a blesser, not a condemner. You want to feel your way to it. If it makes you feel comfort, then embrace it for that moment and bless it for the comfort that it is giving you. But now you've practiced both ends of this stick so much, you won't let yourself have comfort in it. The condemnation of it is so strong that now you don't let yourself have comfort. You have to get way, 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 way low in that. That's why it's bothering you so much, you see. This is so much easier than all of these words. That's what we were talking with our friend about a little bit ago. That's what the inbox discussion was about. You cannot think your way out of this. You can't think your way out of this. Because when you think everything that we say, you had an equal thing to say. In other words, you cannot think your way out of it. Where are you going? Nowhere, 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 nowhere. Stand right here, staying right here. How do you feel? Good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. How's it going? Same, 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 same. Want something different? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Think you can do it? Yes, no, maybe, maybe, maybe. The point that we're getting at is that you can't think your way out of anything, because there are always those that think that that is a good idea, and always those who think that that is a bad idea. And when you are this free being who has come into this body in order to make your own decisions about what you prefer, then you can leave what everybody else thinks out of it and focus upon what you prefer. But you got to get in sync with your inner being, who really knows, bottom line up front, what you prefer and what your path of least resistance is to it. If you've been protesting your way to try to get to what you want, then you've got so much resistance. It's resistance that breaks your body down. It's resistance that causes you to not feel good. It's resistance that wears everything out. You know that. The electricity that flows into your planet and through the wires and into your houses and into all of your appliances, that electricity comes in a form greater than your appliances or your wires or your houses could endure if it were not for some resistance that mutes it. Everything is like that. You've got to find the balance of your desires. You've got to resonate with that which your inner being is about.